Woo, child. I had my 30-day vacation in December, and I am so glad that I did it. Oh my God. It was so great to just like not think about work, not think about every single thing that goes on in my business. It's so much that goes on in my business. And so it was so great for 30 days not to think about it. Now, as the time was coming to a close, I was like, oh no, I've got to work tomorrow, you know, but I am so glad that I did it. Welcome back to another episode of the Keenya Kelly podcast. I am so excited that you're here, and then you are either listening on the podcast or you are watching here on YouTube. And so thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Every single time you guys write a review on the podcast stations and give us 5 stars. And for every single person that watches us here on YouTube, likes the videos, hits subscribe, and shares it with friends. And so I just want to say thanks in the beginning. Okay. So today we are talking about like what happens when you take time off from your business, because one of the biggest questions I've been getting while on vacation is, how in the world did you take 30 days away from your business, and why did you do it? And then more so now people are saying, well, how do you feel now that you took the time off and then now you're back? And so I wanted to share all of that with you today. And so like, you're probably going to learn a lot of different things, you know, as we have this conversation, but for the most part, you're going to say, yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. So before I went on vacation, I'm sure there was a podcast episode where I had talked about like why I do it, like how God asked me to take time off and depend on him to bring the increase, depend on him to help me like make money in our business. And so that was the first thing. But as I started kind of doing this, you know, over the last couple of years, I have realized just how much I was, hurting myself, hurting my business, and hurting my team by not taking the time off. And here's why I say that. Anytime you continue to just go and go and go, I'm not talking about me working 20 hours a day. No, I mean, like when you're just going like every single day, you may not work on Fridays or Saturdays and Sundays or whatever, but you're just constantly going and you never take a break. Your body is constantly going and going and going and going and going and going and going. Your brain is constantly thinking and strategizing and planning and plotting and just always on, right? It never gets this time to like rest. It reminds me of like our computers or even our cell phones. Like, yes, you can charge your phone all the time. You can update its, setting, whatever software or whatever, but every so often it's so important to actually turn your phone off. Like I like power it down and then let it power back up so it can just like recalculate. That's like I think about my computer, what I have experienced is that in those times when I don't restart my computer every couple of weeks or so, it's just not happy, right? It doesn't mean it's going to run super slow, especially when you have a new computer. But over time, when you're not like giving it at least a little bit of a rest, there's no like recalibration or rejuvenation, restoration. There's just nothing that happens there. And so for me, once I did it the first time a couple of years ago, I was like, this is really good. It's scary because I'm so used to being the one that makes money for the business. But I was like, but this is really good for me. When I think about this last December doing it, it was really, really good for me because one of the things what was happening with me was, I think come August, maybe September, more so August, I was already feeling burnt out. I was already feeling really, really, really tired. And I didn't exactly know why I was feeling burnt out, feeling tired, because I was just running my business. But what I realized, one of the biggest reasons I was feeling so burnt out is because 2020 was the year of systems and processes. 2020 was the year that I had to get out everything that was in my head and put it into systems and processes. It's when I hired an assistant. And so she couldn't assist me in any way if everything was all in my head. And so on a daily basis, I had to pull this out and pull this out. And then I had to teach and train her. I had to hire a bunch of different people and let a bunch of people go because they weren't the right fit. And so it was such a strenuous process mentally. Now, the average person on the outside looking in is like, everything's great. And everything is great. However, if you continue going, and you're like with your brain, it's just like, you just get burned out. And I didn't know why I was so tired. But then I realized later, oh, we built all of these systems and processes in my business. So even though like I wasn't producing more content, I wasn't doing more like on the outward side of everybody, I was doing more inside of the business. And so I was tired. And I remember somebody saying, well, what are you going to do with your vacation? Are you going anywhere? And I said, no, I'm actually going to sleep. And they was like, what do you mean? I said, no, I'm going to sleep. Like I'm going to sleep in a lot. And they were like, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I am going to sleep so much. And I did. I slept days. I slept so much. Like I started this new thing where my cats are no longer in my bedroom when I sleep, and I'm getting a higher quality of sleep with them not in my bedroom. And I'm sleeping for more hours because they're not in there like trying to wake me up with their claws because they're ready to eat or whatever. I'm just like really, really, really getting restored to sleep, and I did not think about my business much. Now I intentionally, my assistant, this was her very first time, me being gone for 30 days. So I did not want to put her in a bad place. I checked in with her every couple days or whatever, just making sure she was okay. I would post messages in Slack for the team saying, hey, you guys are doing good. I know it can be stressful. Make sure you guys are helping my assistant, helping Adora, so that way she's not too stressed. And I would just do that. And everybody just felt like, okay, everything's okay. Everything's okay. And then I said, you guys got one more week to go, because I gave everybody 1 week off and I paid everybody for an entire week, even though they're contractors. And that was like my Christmas gift to them. It was very expensive, but I was like, I love my team. And so and I like the week of, I said, okay, this is the final week, and I was giving them tips on how to get all their work done so that they wouldn't be stressed, and I just did that for them. And that's all I did. But I wasn't strategizing during that time. No, whatsoever. I did not do any kind of strategy until I think it was maybe that Saturday right before I returned to work, because I was like, I want to just be off. My brain is off. Let's just be off. And it was just great. Now, like, how in the world was I able to really like do that? Well, it's because I put all these systems and processes in place. Now, there's a podcast episode that talks about all of that. And so we won't get into that. But today we're talking about what happens when you take time off for your business. One, you just get restoration. You just get to really relax and not think, right? You get to recalibrate. You get to be restored. You just get to get like, first of all, you get to get the reason why you started a business, right? Because you wanted to have more time freedom, more financial freedom. And so in December, like I love Christmas. I've never really had good Christmases before with my family. I love my family, but my family can be very chaotic. And so I wanted to have the quote unquote perfect Christmas, which was just not chaotic. And so I looked so many nights. I would Google and I would find Christmas lights in the city. I would put on my coat, my tennis shoes, and I would drive to that neighborhood. And I would either drive the neighborhood if I needed to drive it. Otherwise, I would park, and I would just walk. I didn't have any kids, no dogs, no friends. It was just me. And I would just walk and I would enjoy the Christmas lights, the music, or I would just enjoy it. I would go to different events. If people invited me to Christmas parties or whatever, I went to them. I got all dressed up. Like I remember I was in H&M and somewhere else, and I was, in Banana Republic. And I was like, I'm going to try these on, and I'm going to try these on in the dressing room and on Instagram. And so I showed them like, what about this dress? And what about this dress? And it was a whole fun process that people got to watch me getting ready for these different Christmas parties. Come to think of it, I got this really cute dress that I bought, and I didn't have anywhere to wear it to. I'm gonna find somewhere to wear that too, but that's not here nor there. Anyway, and that's what I did. And so I just kept on and kept on and kept on going to all these different things or what have you. But what happened as it pertains to in my business was, one, it showed the team how they can do this without me. It showed my assistant just how smart she is, how strategic she is, how intentional she can be by not only the systems that we put in place, but also making everybody utilize the system. We pay for a system called ClickUp, right? But for the most part, we've been doing so much like assigning roles and stuff inside of Slack. And I said, no, while I'm gone, you want everybody to get used to using ClickUp. Everybody put all your tasks, all the things or whatever on the inside of ClickUp and start using that so that Adora can focus on what she needs to do as my assistant to me, and then y'all can focus on your task. And so everybody's been using ClickUp. Now, when I got back from, vacation, I was like, are y'all using ClickUp? And everybody was like, yes. And I was like, so everybody's using ClickUp? Yes. And I was like, you mean everybody except me? And they're like, yes. I'm like, great. Y'all keep using ClickUp. I'm gonna keep using my assistant. Cause I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Which has been great. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there with using ClickUp. That makes it even more easier for my assistant. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get there, right? But it also showed everybody like, here's what all it takes to run an entire company. Like I had this conversation with everybody. I said, listen, like, don't just do your job while I'm gone, but also ask yourself, how can you assist? Is there anything you need to assist Nisa with, or Thais with, or Anamika with? Like, what is it y'all can do to help each other? Because we're all in this together. Because when the company is profitable, successful, and all that, then everybody is happy. We all have a job. We all are able to get paid, yada, yada, yada. And so I really was like focusing on bringing the whole team, the whole company together. So that way everybody understands that like everything is doing with the goal of taking the company to the next level. What that also did for me was it taught me how to just have hands off, how not to expect perfection out of the team. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of issues that happen, a lot of mistakes, a lot of like things. When I came back, I was like, what? Why did y'all do what is going on here? And I had to have these conversations of like, hey, I need you guys to really think before you do X, Y, and Z. Why did y'all do that? Well, I said, no. Did you think about it before you did it? No. And I said, okay, you got to start thinking. And it started helping them to understand, like, you get to have a thought, a process, like you get to have a voice in this and in this together, because I only know what I know. I don't really know all the ins and outs of your particular job. And so it just helped people to kind of go like, oh, like I'm not just coming in and doing a task. Here's the list of things I need to do, but I get to go, hey, is there a way to do this better? Is there a way to do this easier that makes more sense, that makes the business more profitable, is there a better way for all this stuff? And as a result of like that, people have been learning how to like navigate all those different things, But also what I learned this time is that like, I learned how many automated tools we did not have in place in terms of revenue generation. The first time we did this, we just had a bunch of money just that was set up and no real expenses because we didn't have a team. This time we had money set aside, but we also had a team, reoccurring revenue expenses. But we weren't really running any kind of ads to help us generate all the money we normally would have made. And so when I came back, I said, oh, okay, so here's all the money that went out. Here's the money that came in. And I said, okay, well, God still brings the increase, of course, but the next time we do this, we need to make sure that like all of our funnels and all the ads are running that are revenue generating. That way, like the same amount of money we bring in when I'm here working is the same amount of money we bring in when I'm not working. And then when I am working, I just help make it, grow even the more, right? And so but in a year ago, that wasn't a necessary thought I needed to have because I didn't have a team a year ago. I got a team now. And so I had to go, okay, like here is something that we as a company did not do well at because it was new to me. And of course, they weren't going to think about it because that's not their role. It's not their job. That's what I do in the company. But if we had a online business manager, or we had an ads, or whatever if we had somebody doing certain things, thinking about marketing, then they would have been like, okay, so we need to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G in place, yada, 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 that we didn't have place. And so I'm okay with that. But I do have a vacation coming up in June. I'm going over to England and then London and then where are we going from there? Paris and then Rome. And I'll be there for about 2.5 weeks. My job is to go, okay, what is it that we need to put in place right now that we can have automated that helps us make even the more money while I'm over there, in the UK doing what it is that I'm doing. I'm going to be working, but I'm also going to be vacationing and things of that nature. And so the company needs to constantly have more revenue coming in, whether I am working or not. Okay. That is what, my whole spiel is about what happens when you take time off from your business. But I definitely feel rejuvenated. I definitely don't feel burnt out. But also what happened was once I got back from vacation, I started to realize that, I really do want to implement more balance in the company for not just me, but for the team. And so on our first meeting, I said, guys, I want to implement a 4-day work week. And they were all like, what do you mean? I said, I want to pay you guys the same amount of hours that you're getting paid, but I want y'all to work it Monday through Thursday because I want Fridays off. And I can't have off on Fridays if you're working because you need me to give you certain things and do certain things. But if everybody is off on Fridays, then we're off. And everybody was so excited, right? And so I told him, I said, okay, do a group chat between all of you guys and determine what is it, the times that you could work, that everybody works at the exact same times, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then everybody's off on Fridays. And so they got together, determined what that is. And I said, okay, in February, I think, well, not in February, I think we'll probably do it in March, right? Because we have our course, Monetize the Talk of a Mastermind that opens up in February. And so we're going to be doing all of that. And so I explained to them, I said, okay, so then in March, we will, implement that. And everybody's very, very excited about it. Why? They're not going to lose any money, but they're going to gain so much more time. And all of them, they're in Philippines, Brazil, and Ukraine, and India, and all that. And so they're all working the PST time zone, but now they're going to get this extra day back, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I will get Friday. I mean, I'm really excited about it, but this is what happens as a result of taking time off, of realizing that oh, I really want this in my life. I really want more balance, and they need more balance too, not just me. All that happened as a result. So that is it. That's what happens when you take time off from your business. Now, if you enjoyed this video here on YouTube, please be sure to hit like and subscribe, because YouTube loves the engagement. It loves when you comment. It loves when you like. It loves when you subscribe. And I love it too. Don't get me wrong. I love it too. And then those of you guys listen to the podcast, the podcast players love it when you write a review. I love when you write the review because I also read the reviews, but it also helps us get to be found by more people. And so if you're on YouTube, you can listen on all the podcast stations. And if you're on the podcast, you can actually watch on YouTube. Everything is Keenya Kelly. And so thank you so much for listening and for watching. To listen to the Keenya Kelly podcast, just visit any podcast player out there, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We are everywhere.